their ability to shoot the basketball and watch a lot on tape. And they were better than I even saw on tape. They really shoot the ball well. They play the right way. They play hard. And like I said, I thought our young men fought hard, gave us a winning effort. I thought we had a chance at the end. And I thought closed the game out better than we did coming down the stretch. You know, coming down the stretch is pretty much anybody's ball game. I thought they made just a few more plays coming down the stretch than we did to close the game.
Second straight game, almost a similar scenario. You have a lead, and you're just, I know you're playing shorthanded, and guys are winded, and you're battling it out just to kind of see it slip away in the final minutes. What's the most frustrating thing, seeing games that look winnable, but you just can't pull them out?
Well, we have to get better at ending the game, you know, executing, as I mentioned before, with guys who hadn't been in those positions this year. And so we have guys that are in there now. They haven't been in those positions. They've been in the game and playing during first half and second half, but they really haven't been in coming down the stretch. And there's a difference, and I think they're learning that as we go through it, and we're growing together. I think this game coming down the stretch actually is a little better than our last game versus Cincy coming down the stretch. So I see improvement, and that's what we have to do. We have to look at what can we do to keep getting better. We're working on those things. We'll continue working on them, and those guys will get more comfortable being in those roles coming down the stretch of the basketball game as we continue through league play.
Coach, quite the contrast at the free throw line. They're 20 of 25, including 17 of 21 in the second half. Your team 1 of 7. Talk about that.
Well, 1 of 7, we have to shoot them better. That's for sure. We have to shoot our free throws better. And we have to do a better job of playing with more force so we put ourselves in a position to get to the free throw line. You know, they were able to put themselves in position in the last couple games. You know, we've been outshot at the free throw line by quite a bit. And we have to do a better job of finding ways to get there by like I said, playing with more force in positions where we can be fouled.
Baylor switched up their defense in the second half, you know, played more zone. What do you think they did well on defense that kind of led to some of your offensive struggles in the second half?
Well, Baylor played the way they normally play. They mixed their defenses. They played multiple defenses, and they did. For us, you know, I felt fine, you know, whether we were in man or in zone. I thought our guys executed fairly well. I think the percentages, you know, will bear that out. We shot 54% from the field, 52% from 3. So, no, offense wasn't really our issue. You know, we have to defend better, taking away the three-point line, which is something that we had talked about doing, and we had to keep off the line, which is something we talked about doing in both areas. We fell short.
You guys had 16 turnovers, most of them coming in the second half. Do you feel like during that scoring drought where it was like around the 5-minute mark that you guys lost a little bit of composure?
Yeah, I do. I think those are things we have to do to close games. Guys being in those positions that haven't been in those positions as much. Absolutely correct. Where, you know, we're coming down the stretch. The thing you have to do down the stretch is now it's time for no mistakes. Can't turn the ball over. You need to make your free throws. You need to get stops. And so we turned it over too much coming down the stretch. But like I said, a few of those turnovers came from players that really weren't in those positions all season long, and they're in those positions. And these games are intense. Like I said, every single game is like a tournament game. And so there's a lot riding on each one of these games for all these teams. And so guys just have to get used to it. These guys, my players are definitely good enough to be able to make the plays that are necessary. They just have to get more comfortable and, like I said, be more composed.
You know, Darius even admitted this week he's been off the last couple games, you know, dealing with personal stuff. But he bounced back tonight. It looks to me like he couldn't miss early on. 23 points, 10 assists. What did you think of his performance?
You know, I thought he was terrific. You know, I thought he did a really good job, not just scoring the ball, but leading us as well. Because as you mentioned, 10 assists, which he was also making connecting plays, making his teammates better. And that's what a good point guard does. So I was happy to see him, you know, kind of, you know, round back into form. And then he has to continue, like all of our players, continue to understand what we have to do down the stretch to close the game, to give ourselves the best chance to win. I thought they just closed the game better than we did coming down the stretch.
Johnny, how crucial is this game against Oklahoma on Saturday because of the loss tonight?
Very important. I mean, for us to stay in this race and keep competing, you know, we need to win, especially protect our home court. And so, you know, we lost this game, and now we have to figure out, find a way to beat another ranked opponent that's coming in here. So we know none of them are going to be easy, and we don't expect that. We just have to find a way to be successful, and we're going to start studying them tonight and find out what we have to do to give ourselves a chance to compete against Oklahoma.
In the final minute of the game, there was a moment where both you and the rest of the bench looked upset after, you know, the ball went in. You guys then rolled it out of bounds, and the clock never stopped. Can you talk about what happened there?
Yeah, you know, the clock's under a minute. The clock should stop, and so, you know, it was a bang play though. So I'm not sure. When I looked up there, it was at 50 and counting. So So when I looked at the clock, it was like 58, 59, 57 and counting. And I'm like, the clock should be stopped right now. But it's a bang bang play, which means if it went through the net at a minute and one or at a minute, then of course at a minute and one, then the clock's going to keep rolling until we do something with it. And that's what happened. So I need to see it on tape to find out if I was correct or not. But that's why we were upset, because the clock was going, and on that made basket, I'm thinking it should stop right away because it was under a minute.
Coach Drew was in here and said his team feels like they're 3 plays away from maybe being the number 1 team in the country. I'm sure you feel the same way with some of the losses that you guys have had. What does that say about how tight and narrow the kind of margin for error is between winning and losing in this conference?
It's a slim margin, that's for sure. As you can see with every single game, every opponent. And so I agree with Coach. I mean, we look at the same situation, the same games, and we see where we could be at, looking at a whole nother picture with just how we close a few games. A record looks totally different. But, that's not what happened. So we have to find a way to turn it around now, to turn our fortune around and, regroup, and then we got to respond. That's what I've told our guys all season long, and that doesn't change. We have to regroup and we have to respond. I thought our guys came out tonight with a good effort, except, it needed to be 40 minutes in that 36, bottom line. And so we have to play full 40-minute games in this conference to give ourselves a chance to win.
Late in the game, as you guys were attempting to rally, it was a tough call. It looked like Baylor was close to going to be a shot clock violation. Darius sort of I know it's a tough call. What did you think of that play there and that call to call it that moment?
Tough call. Like I said, I'm not out there. Those guys, the officials, have a tough enough job, and I realize that people are coming at them from all sides, and hate to see that kind of be a call that sends your man to the line for 3 free throws in a 1-2 possession ball game. That's tough. And but was there contact? I hadn't seen it yet. Probably was some contact. Probably inadvertent. Probably before he took the shot. I would think it was before he took the shot, which means probably 1-1 at best, right? But I didn't. Like I said, but I saw it in real time. I need to see it over again, so you can imagine how they're seeing it. The game is moving fast for them as well. So I never look at what their part that they play in the game for us. It's all about us. We don't put ourselves at risk. Nothing is called there, and so we put ourselves at risk, and that allows something to happen.
First go through this league, how would you describe the learning curve getting to know these teams?
Definitely, that's exactly what we're going through. Because everybody's new. I've been in the American for a while now. In the Big 12, all these new coaches, different styles of play, different systems, different personnel, and so you try to learn exactly what they're doing to be successful. I think our staff has done an amazing job of that. We started this summer and started to study these teams and trying to get a handle on what we were going to be up against, and pretty much everything that my staff has talked about and what we've been working on, things that apply to competing against these teams. We just have to be a little better than where we are right now, and we will. We're going to get better. We're going to use these as learning experiences, and we're going to grow. We're going to get better. And we're going to get better quickly.
You scout them, but still your players have to experience the
Yes.
moments with these teams.
Exactly. Our players, exactly. From their perspective, you're absolutely right. Coaches, I thought, did an amazing job. Our players are learning. It's a learning curve right now, playing against the talent that they have in this league. To play tonight, where you have 2 guys, I think projected first rounders in the draft tonight on that team. You have some experienced players that have had success in this conference over the years. Everyone and every team is pretty much like that. So our guys are having to adjust to that. And like you said, there's a learning curve. But the one thing about our guys that I've really enjoyed is they've come out to compete no matter what and who they faced. They haven't let the names on the jersey or those players really just distract them or slow them down for doing the things that we need to do to try to be successful.
What were your thoughts on the flagrant that was called on Omar earlier in the second half that led to the? It was the yellow. Excuse me, on Ibrahima early in the second half that led to the 4 points on that possession.
I actually didn't see the play when it happened, and so I'm not sure. I need to see it on tape to find out exactly what happened. I'm sure it was contact, and I guess it depends on how the contact's initiated. It's going to be a flagrant 1 or flagrant 2, but I need to see exactly what happened to see if it was something that was warranted in that. But I'm sure it had to be some kind of contact for them to make that call.
You spoke about it briefly. Baylor has 2 first-round prospects. specifically their leading scorer, Jacoby Walter, and you guys limited him tonight, but Langston Love on the other end came out and scored 24 points. So how was it keying in on him but seeing other guys get open?
Exactly. We talked about it. We talked about Love over the last 5 games. They've been playing, really, really well. Been one of the leading scorers and been shooting over 50% from 3. So when we see that, we ID that player as someone that we have got to, know where he is at all times. And we lost him a few times. And every time we lost him, he made us pay. And those are things that we can't have, those kind of defensive breakdowns. Be playing against a scorer who's that hot, who's playing that well right now.
Time for one more. All good?
I'll say,
All right,
Thank you.
Coach.
Thank you, guys.